Welcome to Finding Monster Rehab, the show about finding monsters, right?
Aye.
We have traveled to the Shire in the middle of the Earth. Not the fun middle of the Earth, the boring one. Comparatively boring.
Yes.
I'm Adam.
I am 420 of the Third Age, blazing the finest kush of the South Farthing.
Yes.
I don't know what weed sounds like. I'm Allie.
And
I'm Allie. I'm 26. I don't know what weed sounds like.
Hi, Allie.
I was doing like a real world thing. You were doing like...
and what's it called?
It's also how you greet me every morning.
An MA thing? Marijuanists.
Marijuanists Anonymous. Wow, we're off track already.
Yeah, we're here to get back on track and across a journey across the world.
You know what? We've been starting these episodes weird lately, but today we're breaking bad hobbits, meeting the contemporary halfling.
Yes, we're going to the Shire, of all places. We're going to explore the being that Tolkien describes in his works. And we're going to see what they're like nowadays, because that's a thing.
Yes.
Do you have the passage?
Hobbits are an unobtrusive but very ancient people, more numerous formerly than they are today. For they love peace and quiet and good-tilled earth. A well-ordered and well-farmed countryside was their favorite haunt. They do not and did not understand or like machines more complicated than forge bellows, a water mill, or a hand loom, though they were skillful with tools. Even in ancient days, they were, as a rule, shy of the big folk as they cause, and now they avoid us with dismay and are becoming hard to find. For the BBC, I'm Alison Homiak.
Yeah, so hobbits are still about.
Yes, there's a lot of passages in the prologue concerning hobbits, the prologue of Fellowship of the Ring, that do say that hobbits are rarer and diminished, but still around. I can't do a British accent very well. Hang on, I need to get into it. What's up, Pokey fans? Hobbits are an unobtrusive but very ancient people. Now we found it. Okay, good.
Yeah, and so they don't obtrude. they don't step on any feet with their own big feet themselves.
You know, Jolkin Rolkin Rolkin Tolkien was actually Toby's grandfather.
I don't know if this is true.
It is.
That explains why his name is Toby.
Yes.
It's an acronym.
Mm-hmm. For
Tolkien.
Tolkien of Britain. Y'all. That's...
Classic British slang.
Yes.
Yeah, so the hobbits, or halflings as they are known in, people that don't have the rights to hobbits, are a short race. Yes. 2 to 4 feet, averaging around maybe 3 something.
Yes, and that is more of a figure from the Third Age, where Lord of the Rings proper takes place, with the Third Age ending with the end of Lord of the Rings, and the Fourth Age beginning. And in modern times, it is said that they are diminished.
Yeah.
So they are...
fewer than that. Or does diminished refer to their height?
Height.
Oh, they're even shorter than they used to be.
Yes, between, I would say, 2 or 3 nowadays is the idea.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very small. They're also stated to be related to humans more closely than elves or dwarves are.
It makes sense. They're basically tiny humans.
They're a subspecies, or perhaps their own entire species of human.
And they got their own kind of likes and wants and interests. Yep. They like dressing to the nines, a lot of bright colors.
Greens and yellows, lots of greens and yellows.
Brassy buttons and the like.
But this is all the Middle-earthian hobbit.
Yes, not our modern day one.
No. So it is stated that they are found in largely the same places as they were in those olden days, in the northwest of the old world beyond the sea. Now, beyond the sea, the northwest of the old world beyond the sea.
So is the old world being Europe?
I guess Afro-Eurasia?
So they're in Russia?
No, northwest.
Northwest. Oh, northwest. Oh, so they've traveled to like the Isles.
They're in England. They're in the British Isles. They're in England and Ireland and
Which
Scotland
makes
and Wales.
sense when it comes to a lot of Fae folk and stuff from kind of Irish tradition.
Yes, but are they Fae?
I wouldn't say so, but I would say if there's two tales of little people with little people that are sprightly, I think there might be a connective tissue there.
Little people got little problems.
Little problems need big hands.
This is a song that you started singing to yourself at one point, and it came out of nowhere, meant nothing, and it's just. Do you want to give us a few bars?
It's that, but it's like there's like kind of like a lot of soul behind it.
Yeah.
It's like little people got little problems. Little problems need big hands.
What does it mean?
I don't know. It tracks though, because hobbits do need a hand, or do everyone need the hobbits' hands in the tale?
They need a foot. I mean, nothing.
Yeah, hobbits not only are. I think their other main feature is their feet. Mm-hmm. They have leathery soles and hairy tops of their feet, so that they can go about without no shoes on.
Yep,
which is very adorable.
Very cute.
Although they're kind of gross. I gotta say, it's like
they are a little. I think they're a little xenophobic.
Mm-hmm. I know of some people in college that tried the no shoes thing for a while. Oh, my brother included.
Yeah, no. One of the first guys I kissed was very into the whole the toe separating shoe things.
Oh, those that were very hot for like that bouldering period that everyone was into in 2013 exactly.
Yeah. There was this was post that, but this was he I wanted to be clear that me kissing him and him wearing toe shoes were not. There was a definite gap between those phases of existence.
I also want to say, toe shoes are a very weird way of getting to this. Hobbits don't wear toe shoes.
They could.
They probably should, in all honesty.
It does mention that they do wear boots sometimes in really muddy seasons. So they do wear boots.
That makes sense. Or if they're I guess doing some gardening with some thorns about. You don't want to be stepping on that.
Yeah. They can wear shoes. They know how. They just don't.
They prefer not to.
Yeah.
Which I respect that. And so we're talking about the hobbits in modern days. Mm-hmm. So taken from in the same way that you go from this medieval Middle Earth world to now, and the men I guess get a little more less roughed up, or do they get re-roughed up? Technology changes a lot of things.
The men or the hobbits?
I'm thinking of first the men from Lord of the Rings,
right? The humans,
and as they appear nowadays, so much has changed for humans.
Has it?
Yes.
What's different?
Technology.
Okay.
Huge difference. In locomotion, although the Fellowship does reference a train for some reason.
Right.
But in terms of nanotechnology, smartphones and stuff's everywhere now.
I don't think that's nanotechnology.
The internet.
So, let's talk time frames.
Okay.
So, Jolkin Rolkin Tolkien, which is the only way I can pronounce that name now, said that Lord of the Rings takes place about 6,000 years before the 20th century CE.
Like pyramids?
No.
No?
About 3,000 years before pyramids.
Okay.
So, the First Age began during the Years of the Trees when the peoples of Middle-earth were awakened, and the Second Age began with the banishment of Morgoth. The Third Age began with the first defeat of Sauron, and the Fourth Age began with the final defeat of Sauron at the end of Lord of the Rings, and each of those takes about 3,000 years.
Oh, okay, so we're in the 6th Age No, we're in the 7th Age.
Yeah, I did some...
Wait, does the 7th Age begin with the coming of Jesus?
I did a little bit of reckoning, and I decided that So 6,000 BC, mm-hmm. So plus 3,000 years, the Ancient Egypt was founded in 3100 BCE.
Okay.
And then that takes us to... I went with the birth of Jesus of Nazareth as the beginning of the 6th Age.
Okay,
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I went with the moon landings at the beginning of the 7th.
And that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Because it's 69, right?
Nice. Well, no, because also that just seems like that's important. I was considering the totality of man, and also
It's all downhill since we stepped on the moon.
Also, Tolkien, pretty much. Also, Tolkien did say that he thought the ages had quickened, and that we were now at the end of the fifth age. But like, for that to be true, it would have had to be a lot slower. I don't think he was really thinking about it the whole way through.
Well, but I get the concept because especially when fantasy works and like having something that having just like swords and stuff like that for way longer than they were in our own history.
Right, yeah.
But then eventually nowadays, like, think 100 years ago versus now, a world of difference. 10 years versus now, a world of difference.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely exponential in the growth.
No, yeah, the fact we did not have like medieval swords and armor in 6000 BCE. Or wait, no, 6,000 years would have passed. So then, like 4,000 BCE. Whatever. I did the math wrong. Okay, I think I might have done the math entirely wrong, but whatever.
I get it. The cool thing though is that, like I'm saying, man has advanced so much very quickly in this period of time. Hobbits, specifically from that passage, aren't super into technology.
No, they are not into.
Like the forge is the best stuff that they got.
Yes.
So do you think that's a major? Would they get with the times, or because they're so dwindling, you think they're like kind of keeping to their ways?
I don't think they would get with the times. I can't imagine that's the case. But let's take the pace down a notch here.
Okay.
I think we're going a little fast for this Hobbit episode. It's really wrecking my brain.
All right, sure.
Yeah, let's just. Great. Let's play a game.
Sure. So, the Hobbit himself, Bilbo Baggins, the titular Hobbit.
Yes, the only one.
the one that the book's named after. Do you think he's an exemplary Hobbit?
He is noted in this prologue as being the first Hobbit that, like, the wider world gave a shit about, essentially. So that's why he's the Hobbit.
Got it. He's more like the trendsetter.
Yeah.
He's like the Christopher Columbus of Hobbits.
It's like, oh man, there's this whole, like, bunch of, like, you know how there's, like, elves and dwarves and us? There's like another one.
Oh, is there?
They're like little people. They have
little problems.
They have big feet, and they live in this little just farmland called the Shire. And like a long time ago, they decided that like one of our kings or something said that they would protect them, and there was like a whole like feudal thing. But then like the kings all stopped, and then they appointed their own king, and then like now they've got like a mayor and like some sheriffs. And some like a post office, and that's about it for the government. That's all you need. Yeah. And they're just kind of over there now, and that's where we're at here in the Third Age.
I love the concept of a Hobbit sheriff because he strolls up. What seems to be the problem here? Well, it's like the problem is you're 3 feet tall.
I have better news for you.
Okay.
So, the sheriffs was the name the hobbits gave to their police, or the nearest equivalent that they possessed. They had, of course, no uniform, such things being quite unknown, only a feather in their caps, and they were in practice rather haywards than policemen, more concerned with the strayings of beasts than of people.
Oh, so they're just like animal handlers.
They're cowboys.
Oh, great.
Yeah, Hobbit cowboys.
That's pretty fun, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, they...
Also, the messengers the post office had, like, way more people, and they were way busier.
Yeah, and it's like a Pony Express type deal, I imagine.
Yeah. Not all hobbits can write, but those that can are just always blowing up each other's mailboxes.
That tracks.
And so the messengers are very busy.
That's the story of Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah.
or in the Hobbit itself too. Mm-hmm. Just Bilbo just having a blast.
Oh yeah.
Just can't stop, won't stop. The hobbits in general, as a people,
they are not very technologically gifted. The only science that they are very into is genealogy. They're very into like
that makes sense, yeah.
Names and dates and accomplishments
and writing and stuff too. So I think they'd have some footing in some academic worlds, but not all of them.
No, they would not really have much of a footing in academic worlds, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's little scribe positions or just chilling on their own. They seem to be a simple people. They seem very Amish.
Yes.
if I were to classify them, where it's kind of like they're keeping to their old way of things. They're living in their own little neck of the woods, and now and then they like you see them at Walmart. Like, what are you doing here?
Here's the thing: they run away from the big folk.
Yeah,
they go to the smaller stores. They don't go to Walmart.
Oh, they're mom and pop shoppers.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, quick question: Hobbits, therapy animal needs therapy.
Needs therapy. Just join the rest of us. Big people aren't scary. Why are you scared? That's weird.
Maybe they're afraid that people are like, well, we're big and I wouldn't like people if I wasn't a human.
I already don't like people, and I'm not a human, so yes.
Yeah, so I see the reason why to draw lines between us. This question was first inspired by us by going through the Pokemon. What Pokemon name do you think is the most in line with like Hobbits vocabulary?
Bidoof, maybe? Bibarel?
Bibarel, not bad. I was thinking Dunsparce.
Okay. Alright. Pull up a list. You already have it bookmarked.
It's very easy for me to get to.
Bayleaf?
Yeah. Something said often by them.
Stoutland? Stoutlands.
Stoutland. Stoutland's very, yeah.
No, we don't need to keep doing this.
Stoutland's right between the Shire and was it Farthington?
I think that might be on the map.
The far reaches, as they call it.
Where the dankest of Kush grows.
I think that if hobbits were around nowadays, even if they are in their own communities, I think Hobbit Kush is probably good ass shit.
It does. They do mention that pipeweed, they explicitly say, is tobacco.
Yeah.
They explicitly say that in their disappointingly, because it's much funnier if it's weed.
It is so much funnier.
Absolutely.
But humans have weed nowadays.
It also says that...
I think they would get in on it.
Well, it also says that they smoked many different herbs, and the only one that stuck was tobacco. So they just kind of...
Man, very disappointing. It's not as much fun if hobbits have cigarettes as if everyone has pipes. You know what I'm saying?
They do all have pipes. So, lost my train of thought. We're going too fast. Tobacco. Yes, tobacco being a New World plant. So there's no way it could exist here.
Unless the Middle Earth works differently.
I just think that Jolkin didn't really...
Well, I think that's also true, but that's also the case for, Song of Ice and Fire. Like, they got, like, corn. And people are, like, shitting on Martin about, like, why did they have corn? He's like, it's not Earth.
Yeah, well, that's fully not Earth. Middle Earth is supposed to kind of be Earth.
Technically kind of be Earth, yeah. I see what you're saying.
But, like, also, I think he just kind of, like, tacked that on.
I don't think he did the science.
No, I don't think he really cared that much about, like, no, maybe it was Earth all along or something. I don't care, I'm joking.
He spent his days transcribing Beowulf. And then, like, when it came time to, like, he didn't really put all his points into New World agriculture.
Right.
And differentiating.
I'm trying to see if marijuana is a...
New World food?
It's not a food. Marijuana is not a food, Adam.
Not if you try hard enough.
When did we switch personalities?
You're very mellow this episode.
I pretended to smoke weed at the top of this episode. Maybe that was it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm very mellow and you're very, like...
Yeah, maybe, but we are recording slightly earlier. That could be it. I rise with the sun. You rise with the moon.
Native to Central Asia and the Indian subcontinent. So it actually makes more sense for pipeweed to be weed than to be...
Okay, maybe Tolkien...
Tobacco.
Maybe Tolkien was, like, too much of a Boy Scout. And he thought marijuana was tobacco.
He's too much of a fucking nerd.
He didn't know the difference yet. He just thought it was all the same.
It's all the same. Only the Kush will change.
Because I feel like the hobbits get high.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they get high, not like in a way that you can get high off tobacco.
They definitely get drunk.
Yes, they're all about partying and having a good time.
They would absolutely make Slizer.
Which is not very Amish of them, if we're talking about them in modern times.
No, because they're not Amish. They're hobbits.
Yeah, so they both keep to themselves, hide from big people, and party like it's like it's 1899.
I don't think Amish people party. I think they just kind of sit around a small table and eat crackers or something.
I think
and then they go to the zoo and they yell at women.
I think they party, but they don't like do anything like substantial. They, like as aliens might party. They're like, yes, what the humans do.
Okay, we can stop talking about Amish people. I don't know.
All right.
Wait, were you talking about hobbits or Amish people?
I was talking about aliens.
Oh, okay.
Aliens trying to pretend to be humans.
So the Amish, got it.
Yeah, so they
came from 200 light years away. That's why they're so behind.
In the same way that Amish people will use modern roads and stuff like that. Last thing I'll say about Amish people: what modern things would hobbits take to, even if they were not big on technology?
I mean, I don't think they would.
Anything whatsoever?
They're not really big on new machines and stuff, and if they're hiding from big people, there's no reason why they would, like, have a laptop.
Yeah, I guess so.
Do you think they would like Lord of the Rings?
Honestly, I think, would they like movies at all? They like stories. They love stories. And they love storytelling. They would be into books, modern day books and publishings and stuff
There
like
are
that.
lots of, like, genealogies and stuff in here, though, and you know what? If hobbits are real, and Tolkien found the Red Book of the West March and translated it into The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, as is the literary agent hypothesis of the thing. So then the Hobbit, the Lord of the Rings books and movies would be like actual, factual, like historical records in that universe where it's not just a framing device where it's actually true. And so the hobbits, I think, would want to see it because it's like, this is what our ancestors did. That's what they're all about.
I think so. However, I think some of them might be like the, what do you call it? The sticklers, the critics, who say like, this isn't as true to the source material.
I can't imagine they want the extended edition, though.
I think that might be too much for anyone.
Because they're short.
Yeah, they like it very brief.
Yeah.
So, okay, they might be into movies, different forms of storytelling. Do you think there would be an outreach program? Like how Vanilla Ice hangs out with Amish people sometimes.
I didn't know about this, but that's incredible.
Yeah. Do you think there's an occasion where, like, they'd be, hey, come on in for a bit to the big folk?
Like a Romspringen.
Yeah, like a reverse Rom, like a Romspringen. I'm thinking more people coming in.
Oh.
And meeting with them for a day.
Oh, I don't know about that. It seems like they would be very, like...
It seems like Gandalf situation, basically.
Yeah, I think, like, people would have to find where they live, and they'd be like, sit down, have a hobbit beer, or whatever. But
they'd probably be more like, get out. We don't want you here.
I think these days they would be more like, get out, we don't want you here.
Yeah, and I don't blame them necessarily.
Like, if you're just walking around Middle-earth and you stumble across the Shire, like, they'll be like, a fine dank kush for the missus or mister.
I think that might be a good export for them, though.
Dan Kush?
Yeah, I think people might like the Hobbit stock. When it comes to that, also, maybe they're probably great farmers and the like.
Well, here's the thing. That's all a fine proposal.
Yes.
However, the hobbits exist in real life as we are. They don't communicate with people at all.
Yes.
We don't know about them.
They stay away whatsoever.
We have to assume that John Tolkien Rolkin is not lying to us and that hobbits are real and do exist in the real world where we live. They don't talk to us, they don't go to Walmart, they don't see the movies, or maybe they do, but we just don't know. Modern science and modern society do not know that hobbits exist, except for what Tolkien says, that they are hiding somewhere.
Okay.
They're like an obscure people.
I see.
So they just like hide out in the woods and farm, or maybe they just hunt.
Probably.
Maybe they've reverted to like a hunter-gatherer thing, more gathering.
Takes up less land. Maybe they've gone kind of full back to tribes. If they don't like put down footing, if there's not like because I guess humans walk all over the place. If they're unspotted, it might as well be like a Sasquatch.
Yeah. Is Sasquatch just many hobbits in a trench coat?
A big furry like bear skin trench coat.
To scare big people away.
Yeah, I would be scared of that. Or I mean, they can... People are looking for big footprints, not little itty-bitty ones.
They're not very little. They're like... I think they just look normal sized.
Because they got big feet.
They got big feet for small bodies, and so they just kind of come out roughly human-sized feet.
The skills and stuff that we associate with them in fiction, in D&D terms, in The Hobbit, is being sneaky and stealthy.
They're sneaky, they're stealthy, they're good with ranged weapons. They're good
at hiding.
The prologue goes into great detail about how basically they just have a high dex score.
Yeah, how they're just, they're very light on their feet. They're better than most when it comes to sleight of hand checks and acrobatics. So I guess I could see where they where they could totally just go under the radar.
Right.
In that sense. So I guess they don't have a lot of facets of real life. You think if they found like a lighter, they would be into it? Because it's like, hey, it's so much easier than a tinderbox or a couple sticks.
I think maybe.
Would they scavenge? Would they find any pieces of human technology and say like, oh man, that's a great idea?
Wait a minute. Hold on. So there's some phenotypic plasticity going on with Gollum, right?
Yes.
He's corrupted by the ring. He gets smaller. He gets kind of withered. He starts like hiding around in caves and stuff.
Gets all pale. Gets all slimy.
Eats trash and babies.
Big eyes.
D&D goblins are just modern day hobbits. They live in like my conception of goblins in an urban fantasy setting is that they live in like a dump or something, and like they make little armor out of like little paper plates and stuff, and like toilet seat covers and things like that.
Yeah, I mean we're talking like, you know, what happened to Gollum is one thing, but we're talking like 6,000 years.
We're talking
8,000 years.
We're talking 6,000 years with a very magical sort of people that do not have a lot of genetic drift.
No, when one of them's doing something, pretty much all of them are doing it genetically.
Yeah. So
I could see that happening.
They've evolved into goblins. They've gone nocturnal.
Ooh, nocturnal would explain why they're not spotted about.
Yeah.
And it would explain why they're can keep to themselves very efficiently.
They're really good at not getting hit by cars.
Yeah, maybe they, similar to Sasquatch theories and stuff like that, they have rituals and stuff like that for their dead. They don't leave little hobbits behind.
You know what I like about this is that, like, what Tolkien pitches is, like, idealized pastoralism. Like, a small little farming community with all of the charm and none of the racism that I would associate with, like, a little farming community. Be like, this is cute, but there's no black people. I'm a little worried.
Oh, it's adorable. Everyone's the same.
It's adorable. Why does that sign say speak English? Jesus God. Everyone here already does. Or they speak like Pennsylvania Dutch or some weird shit.
Yeah, they speak in a language that's too white for normal ears.
Too white for even my Caucasian ears. Legolas, what do your white ears hear?
Storm.
What?
He can hear the weather. Is that one of Legolas's powers? I didn't read the whole book, okay?
White people can hear the weather.
Yeah, that's why they're so obsessed with it. You talk to white people and they're just like, how about that weather yesterday? I heard that coming.
How about that weather yesterday, though?
Yeah.
It was like raining just very hard, very briefly. Mm-hmm. Like, I felt so bad for my coworkers at the zoo, because, like, it's not raining enough to actually put numbers down at all. So it just, like, rained for 5 minutes and then left. Like, how rude of God.
Speaking of numbers, I understand you did some monster math this episode.
I did not get to talk about my point.
Oh, okay.
We got distracted on 16 other tangents because the difference between your energy and my energy is just too high.
All right. Go ahead.
So, it's an idealized pastoral society. Mm-hmm. What I like about this concept of, like, the feral tribes that live in the woods, where I would, like, walk through the streams as a child and just, like, explore the woods back there. What I like about that is it's kind of the same vibe of, like, a simpler lifestyle.
Reconnecting with nature, but instead of the farmlands, it's the woods. It's even more nature. Yes,
it's less, it's even less developed,
yeah.
I would say. And, like, if they have a small village or something somewhere, that's cool. That's adorable.
I don't know the full history of hobbits in the world, but it almost sounds like if I were to propose something, not that it's canon or anything like that, it's almost like they're going from a big technology history and getting less and less and less as they go along. Kind of the reverse of what humans are doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technology does not always improve with time.
No, that's true.
Look at the difference between look at the Fourth Age. You know, we went all the way from medieval times to ancient Egypt times, and then back to medieval times.
Yeah, we cycled back around, and that stuff. It's Wheel of Time. It was a fantasy series that has proposed a lot of cyclical eras like that, where it's like, you know, heroes of myth and stuff like that were once people totally different, and 1,000 years from now, also 1,000 years in the past, people are like fighting with swords,
right?
So you know that stuff goes down. But did you want to talk monster math now?
Yes, monster math.
Yes, I saw you've done some. You've put on your Hobbit hats and done some real genealogical studies of populations.
I did a little bit of. I was going to create a Leslie matrix for hobbits to figure out what the population growth rate would be, to map their movements and stuff, like to map their population growth over the
over
time. And I couldn't really get a Leslie matrix going because I failed to consider some variables, is the professional way of putting it. But
you only have what's in the books to work with.
Yeah, and what I found was so I took the lifespans of various hobbit women and the ages at which they have daughters, because that's what you do for Leslie matrix.
You pay attention to that line.
You pay attention to the matrilineal families and such. So hobbits live for an average of 87 years.
Okay.
Which is about 10 years more than people.
Which is why, like, Bilbo's party was a big deal.
Yes, he turned 111, which people, hobbits usually turn, like, they usually get to about 100 or so, but there's a couple instances where, like, Frodo's mother, for example, fell in a river. There was an instance that I took into account where someone died at around the age of 20. And so, like, counting that mortality as part of things, hobbits on average live about 90 years.
Okay. I want a quick aside. I think Bilbo should have lived a shorter life, don't you think?
How so?
He had a very stressful couple years there.
How do you mean?
His adventure in the Hobbit.
Was that long?
I guess it was a year or so. It was enough for everyone to, like, think that he died and sold all his stuff.
It might have been a year.
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is that I would expect it to go down, not up. But, you know, he's also been hanging on to a magic ring, so who cares? That kind of changes everything.
Yeah, it's the magic ring. Butter scraped over too much bread.
Yeah, that made Gollum like what he is and just last for a long, long time.
Like 500 years, I think.
Yeah, so okay, I take that back.
Yeah.
Well, 111 was still something to celebrate.
Right. What were we talking about for the
how long the average lifespan?
Right. I found that the hobbits in general have, on average, a hobbit woman can expect to have 2 2/3 of a child over the course of her life. So, like, on average, they have 2 or 3 kids, about 50-50 male-female, of course. That's usually how it goes. The youngest age I found in my rather small sample size was 37, which was Rosie Cotton, who was Samwise Gamgee's wife, who had 13 fucking kids with Samwise.
Wow.
13 goddamn kids.
Do they have the same gestation period?
I mean, it looks like, yeah, because, like, there's never an instance of, like, 2 of them, like, right next to each other, or, like...
So they spent, like 2.5, like 2 decades having kids?
Well, about the oldest I could find was someone who had a kid at 70.
Wow.
So they have children between the ages of, like, 35 and 70 or so, and about 45% of those births occur when the mother is between the ages of 40 and 49. So a large plurality of births occur with hobbit women in their 40s. Again, just kind of about 10 years down the line from people.
Yeah.
And what that indicates is that this has been a seatbelt, everyone, by the way.
Oh.
I put in the sound effects.
Thank you for letting me know.
You're welcome. So,
I put on my seatbelt.
Good. So, what this indicates is that they are heavy K-selected.
And K-selected means?
There's K-selection and R-selection. This is a division where essentially R-selection means you have a lot of kids and you don't take much care of them. K-selection is you have very few kids and you take...
a lot of care of them?
Yes, you invest heavily in parental care.
Okay.
And humans are K-selected, of course. Like rats would be something that's R-selected. Sea turtles would be R-selected.
Because, yeah, they just have a butt-ton fish and stuff like that.
Right. And hobbits are even more K-selected than people.
Wow.
Like, they live longer, they have very long childhoods of 33 years, which is more than they need, frankly. And they have a relatively few people. For a pre-industrial society, 2 2/3 children on average is pretty low. So they reproduce less, they disperse less, they have a smaller population. One thing is that K-selection is usually associated with larger body size, not smaller. So that's an outlier. But ultimately, I think R and K-selection is another one of those false binaries that humans stumble into.
I see.
It seems like these are categories that describe something that have been in use for a long time, and it mostly works, so no one's really questioned it, but it's not perfect.
I got it. So it sounds good. So we've had a lot of fun in the past looking at the Baggins family tree, and I just want to encourage everyone out there to explore it, tag yourself, and have a fun time with the crazy halfling names. I
think my favorite on here is either Linda Baggins, Bilbo's canonical Aunt Linda, or various good bodies.
Falco Chubbs Baggins always gets me.
Falco Chubb Baggins.
Falco Chubb Baggins is really something special.
Sancho Proudfoot.
Sancho Proudfoot is his cousin from beyond the border.
We could talk about Frodo's dad, Khal Drogo.
Literal Khal Drogo.
Drogo Baggins, yeah. Griffo Boffin is... That got me for some reason.
And I love the two kids, Paladin Took and Esmeralda Took.
Damn. They really went hardcore with that. Bingo Baggins. That sounds like you forgot how... That's, it's about a bunch of fucking, elves that run around with Bingo Baggins or whatever and they kill a dragon. The fuck? I don't fucking know.
Yeah. The siblings, Bungo, Belbub, Longo, Linda, Bingo. Like, what a family reunion this must be.
Well, I mean, look at the parents of that group. Their names are Mungo and Laura.
I've noticed that the female hobbit names seem to be a little more classical.
A little more normal.
Yeah.
Except for, like, Belladonna, which I'm pretty sure is isn't that Nightshade?
You have, like, Angelica Baggins. Yeah, just an unfortunate family titles all around. So,
what would your hobbit name be? Mine would apparently be Allison. Go ahead.
Do I have to pull from this list?
No, just, like, turn Adam into a hobbity sort of name.
Yeah. Aldo Lemons.
Yes!
Aldo Lemons is pretty good.
Holy shit, that's so good, and it was so fast. Aldo Lemons.
Those hobbits can't be kept down.
Mine would be Aliana Home.
Good store.
Home buddy. Homebody.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, you know. A lot of feet in hobbit names as well.
Homefoot.
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 There you go.
Home Slice. Aliana Home Slice. This is it.
Oh.
Is it too late to change my legal name? Okay.
So, do you think this is true to all hobbits? That all of them would take this kind of route of going full tribal, becoming goblins in the woods? Or would there be any that kind of go a more urban route?
Are you talking Monster Rehab?
Yes, I'm talking Monster Rehab.
All right.
Some of these hobbits need to find a place in society.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, like, they don't. They're off on their own. They're trying to get a job under their belt, and they need to find a place. What can they do?
Oh, they could make they could do a great salon.
Like hair products and stuff like that.
No, not like it.
Like
full on steam and salt caves and shit. Like,
oh wow, that's intense.
I was thinking mani-pedis specifically.
Mani-pedis came to mind.
Because there's also a passage that mentions that they have nimble fingers and they don't wear shoes ever. Mm-hmm. So oh shit, you know what? I forgot to take off my socks for this.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I also did not shave my feet for this. This is weird. I have hair on my toes that I occasionally shave because of, I guess, dysphoria, but not on my fingers.
Huh. Yeah, I get it everywhere.
Yeah, you
my
are
hobbit body.
You're my body. You are of a much hairier lineage than I am.
Yeah. So we
and yet I have vaguely hobbit feet.
I have very long toes, like a hobbit.
I don't know. Are my toes long?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do short toe? I've not really compared a lot of people's toes.
Yeah, no. I've been told as much. But back to mani-pedis, stuff like that. I think we can go the full experience. We're talking masseuses.
Yeah.
We're talking hot stones.
Mm-hmm. Well, think about
it's not a lot of technology. Is the big thing about it.
Think about the concept of what we were saying about going to the Shire and getting here's a feast. Sit down, relax, and tell a story about your grandpa or whatever the hell.
It's a lot of heritage too.
Yeah, I feel like that is a kind of massage or therapy or salon type thing. It's just it's a big self-care type thing.
Self-care is a good way to put it, because it's not actual therapy. If you went to a hobbit with your problems, they won't be able to help you. They're I don't know what that is. What do you call that? A car? But just the physical healing, mm-hmm. I think they can actually help with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Calming music.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the where you have a nice drink.
Yeah. Goat yoga. They would do that.
Just regular yoga, though.
No, goat yoga.
Where the actual goats and animals are about.
Yeah. There should be, I bet, they would get really into, all the small kinds of animals, like dwarf goats and mini horses.
When you said the sheriffs earlier, I was picturing mini horses.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And that's a pretty good, I would absolutely go to a Hobbit salon.
You know what? There's one thing about hobbits that I want to, make unique about our take.
Okay.
And that is, they're little people that live in the woods and stuff.
Yep.
Maybe they steal babies. I don't know. Raise them as hobbits.
Until they get too big.
Yeah, and then they make armor from their bones.
Oh.
I think it's time for a good old-fashioned spook-off.
Okay. Let's go.
In a hole in the ground. Fuck. In a hole in the ground lies the unknown. That which you cannot see. That which you cannot hear. That which you cannot feel until you feel the cold steel between your ribs. And they drag away your body into parts unknown. Weren't these supposed to be cute? Wasn't there supposed to be little strings and woodwind instruments? No, it's not good times and good ale. It's just murder and being dragged into the woods by hobbits. This is all I got.
Okay. Let me try. A hump, a thump, a clatter in the night. Out in the woods, you see nothing, but you hear snickering, pattering, the sounds of bones being tied to other things. You hear little bodies about, as quiet as the wind, but as dangerous as lightning. You've traveled to the forest to meet them, but they want nothing to do with you. In fact, you should not be getting out of this alive. They want to break your plates and put you in a stew and eat you because they're modern hobbits in the forest.
All right.
Yeah, so good old-fashioned spook off.
A hole in the road. You go over it in your 1997 Toyota Corolla. It's night. It's dark. You're in a mountain pass somewhere in Colorado, or well, you're not really sure. Honestly, at this point, it all looks the same. And then crossing in front of your headlights, was that a child? No, it was a hobbit, and it's gonna eat you. I'm tired of this segment.
All right, well, let's bring in this episode to a close with the final rating place, where we put hobbits as a creature to bed.
Well, hold on, there's one more thing I wanted to do.
Oh, okay.
Squatchler.
Squatchler, would I date a hobbit woman?
Yeah.
She's very short.
A hobbit woman. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
She would have a good time, for sure. I think too much of my life revolves around technology for us to have anything in common. I think every one of my hobbies, except maybe like book reading, like we would like agree with.
Yeah, that makes sense. She wouldn't be on the podcast.
No, that's for sure. Or then she wouldn't probably play like tabletop games because those are printed and those are bad. We might play cards, but that might be as far as our date goes. So like 1 or 2 dates.
Yeah, that seems pretty boring. You're right.
Squatchlerette.
Like an adventurous, sort of hobbit, like a
Bilbo type.
Yeah, like a Fallowhide sort of.
One of the Tooks.
Yeah. Like one of those.
The one that invented golf.
Yeah, maybe the one that invented golf.
6,000 years ago.
I think we can get a hole in one. Fuck, that was so good I couldn't think of anything else. Yeah, no, I think maybe one of the ones that goes out and rom springs into the world more so. If I were a person in Middle Earth times, then I think so.
Yeah, I would absolutely go on a fellowship type journey.
Yeah,
or at least to the one bar that has run by the guy that no one likes.
Okay, wait, but so the modern hobbits that live in the woods and stuff and eat bones.
No to them.
Yes, absolutely to them.
Yeah, that
sounds dangerous. Dangerous, attractive.
Okay, I don't think they would agree to a date.
No.
I don't think they would want to. I don't know how you'd set that up to begin with.
I think they would speak kind of a derivative of Western, of the common tongue.
Yeah, it would have to be a blind date, and then you show up and you hear some rustling in the bushes, and then no one shows up.
We can't just assume. Oh, God.
Because they thought you were a hobbit. So.
That's how most of my dates tend to go. And that's with people.
So, Finding Monster Right is proud to present the final rating place. Right. Hobbits, as a creature. I like them a lot, and I like what Tolkien does, because it's probably it's really easy to just say people but small. But he puts a lot of culture on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of variants too. And I like that they've got internal faction squabbles. I'm always a big fan of those.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to give them a solid 8 out of 10. Taller than any hobbit should be. 8'10".
Let's see. As a fantasy race, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
As a monster in a fantasy race. Are they a monster? I guess so.
Yeah, technically, yes.
Yeah.
We do fantasy races on the show.
Sure. We've done orcs, and I think
elves.
we decided elves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hobbits, I think, are just a kind of people. Oh well. The modern hobbits that live in the woods and stuff, and are small and almost supernaturally quiet. That seems that's cryptidy.
Yeah, it's very cryptidy.
That's a monster.
Yeah.
Modern hobbits, monsters. Old timey times hobbits. I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure they're the ones with the sable eye are designed after.
That's the Hobskinville goblins. We talked about that last Halloween.
Yeah, they could be akin to them.
Ooh.
Is it weird that my touch point is sable eye?
No, that makes a lot more sense than the Hobskinville goblins. It's weirder that I am more familiar with some weird alien sighting by drunk Kentuckians than a Pokemon, like a character made for my age group around the time I was that age.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so Hobbits. As a fantasy race, Tolkien did a lot of stuff with dwarves and elves, and these are all, like, things that he did not make up whole cloth.
No.
The Hobbits, on the other hand, kind of follow a broader mythical archetype while being themselves unique. And that, I think, makes them a lot stronger. I kind of wish Tolkien didn't use elves or dwarves, because now every fantasy setting has to use those, and, like, those are creatures of a very specific mythology.
It'd be cooler if it was a little more... There was more customizable, like, do your own thing that he inspired.
Yeah. Like,
less than, like, these are the 3 races.
Why aren't we looking at African mythology, at Asian mythology for, like...
To pull races from
For
them.
races from different regions of, like, your D&D world.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
You know, I wish that were more of a thing than, like, just saying elf, dwarf, human, these are the defaults.
Yeah, the other peoples of the world.
I think hobbits, as a concept, are a good stepping stone for that. They're a good template for, like, this is what... Like, they're so well crafted for the story that Tolkien wanted to tell. It's masterful world building.
He made a people and then made a story about those people and why they're important.
Yeah.
So you couldn't ask for anything better for a modern myth.
No. And so that is why... and as for the modern hobbits that we kind of invented, they are very much indicative of, like, just a very simple lifestyle, a more primitive lifestyle, rather, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
I should have said, I don't know, less settled, less, more...
In tune with nature.
Anarcho-primitivist.
Okay.
Or just primitivist. But it kind of scratches the same itch for me that, like, post-apocalyptic stuff does. Or, like, prehistoric stuff does. I very much like those pre- and post-historic periods. Like, let's start over.
Yeah, they are going back to their roots.
Yeah, I don't like the phrase back to nature, because we're always in connection with nature. We're talking about fighting cockroaches in the apartment today. Like,
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So
Nature is a made-up concept, ultimately. We're all part of nature.
So it's instead it's something going back to
it's just
like I said, prehistory.
Less complicated.
Just simpler.
Simpler, yes.
That's very in line with what hobbits like.
That's what hobbits are all about, simplicity.
Yeah. So numerically?
Numerically, out of 6/10, I will give them half.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good stuff, and I'm glad that we were able to cover some small folk.
Mm-hmm.
They did not go unnoticed by us for too long.
No, we got them.
Tune in next time when we go deeper into the woods, underground, into the heart of the ocean, and back to the space.
And we find something much bigger and also smaller. I did it. Did I do it?
You did it right.
Okay, good. It was vague. Was the joke.